The city never slept. And, not because it was alive, but simply because everyone inside it was just trying to survive. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're diving deep into the atmospheric, dark, and rain-soaked deconstruction of a really hyper-minimalist track, Rusakov Hustler, -1. Picture this for a second. You've got a pitch-black sky with rain just falling endlessly, covering the streets in these bleeding reflections of red neon lights. Sirens are echoing somewhere way off in the distance, and smoke is rising from the underground vents like the city itself is just breathing out all its pain. Every building looks freezing cold. Every alley is hiding a secret, and every single face you see caught under those flashing lights just looks exhausted. Because this track we're looking at today, it isn't just music. It's a whole environment. It's the heavy, pulsating sound of a city where money controls absolutely everything, power controls everyone, and, well, if you're weak, you are simply erased.
So, let's meet our protagonist, the hustler. Imagine him walking totally isolated through these completely empty streets. His hoodie is just soaked from the rain, and his shoes are scraping against the wet asphalt. He's got no friends walking beside him, no family waiting up for him at home, just the crushing silence of the city and the sound of this incredibly heavy bass vibrating right through the concrete walls. Now, normal people might look at him and see just another nobody, right? Just another lost soul wandering a broken city. But inside him, there's this intense grit, this emotional baseline that the track captures so flawlessly. I mean, every single night he's outworking everyone. While the rest of the city sleeps, he's navigating abandoned warehouses, dark subway tunnels, and hidden street corners just trying to build a name for himself. For the hustler, the music is literally the only thing keeping him alive. And that heavy bass thumping inside his headphones, that's his actual heartbeat.
And that brings us to the literal transcript of the audio, which brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. Look at this. This is the entire source transcript we are analyzing today. It's just a literal, overwhelming wall of sound. But in the context of this broken city, we're not talking about normal heat here. This is the heat of pressure, the heat of pure survival. It's the literal friction created when your dreams are crushed every single day, but they absolutely refuse to die. The track literally throws this word at you over and over and over, perfectly mimicking the physical, inescapable pressure of the streets closing in on our protagonist. It's the raw sound of the daily grind.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that number, 17. If you actually count them up, that is the exact number of times the word heat is hammered into the listener's ears in that sequence. It's not just some random repetition. It is a relentless, driving force representing the repetitive nature of surviving in the underground. Every single heat is another door slammed right in his face. It's another freezing cold night. It's another time someone laughed in his dreams. And yet, the beat just doesn't stop. The track physically forces you to feel the weight of 17 continuous, unyielding strikes of pressure. But, right in the middle of all that relentless pressure, we find this. Just a solitary N. It's sitting right there in the transcript, wedged between the 10th and 11th heat. And this represents a momentary glitch in the track. It's like a single gasp for air, or a skipped heartbeat, right before the crushing bass kicks back in. In our cinematic story, this is the exact moment the hustler stops dead in his tracks. Heavy rain is flooding the streets, and suddenly, his cracked old phone lights up with a single message. Tonight, underground arena, don't be late. That little N is the pivot. It's the deep breath you take right before the plunge, because the chance he's been waiting for his entire life has finally arrived.
So, how does this all unfold? Let's map out the track's psychological progression. We start off in isolation, those lonely, rainy city streets we were just walking through, driven entirely by the solitary heartbeat of the music. Then we hit the underground drop, which is this intense descent into a hidden world beneath the city where literally only the strongest survive. And finally, we slam into the climax, which is just absolute sensory overload. This timeline isn't just the structure of the song, it's the psychological journey of the listener. We are being physically pulled from the cold, lonely exterior directly into the boiling core of the underground.
Section 7. The Arena. A world built on pain. Okay, let's dive into this. As the hustler walks toward this underground arena, the music really starts to swell. You can hear bass echoing through the tunnels like thunder. Steam is pouring from broken pipes, and people in dark masks are pushing past him in the smoke. And when he finally steps inside, it is a visceral explosion. We're talking thousands of lights flashing all at once, giant speakers shaking the floor violently, lasers just slicing through the darkness, and the crowd is absolutely screaming. On the outside, this arena is violently fast. A giant screen lights up with the word heat.
The bass drops impossibly hard, smoke cannons blast, and the whole building is moving like a living, breathing creature. But internally, for our protagonist, everything shifts into super slow motion. He looks around this chaotic room and realizes something deeply painful. Every single person in here is hiding broken pieces. You know, the dancer's smiling? She's secretly crying. The rapper celebrating? He's drowning in debt. The fighter who looks so powerful is carrying an immense loneliness inside his soul. Everyone is acting strong, but nobody is admitting the truth. This underground world wasn't built from confidence. It was built entirely from pain.
And during this slow-motion realization, the hustler just closes his eyes. As the external music grows louder, his internal memories attack his mind like flashes of lightning. And these aren't just words on a screen. These are deep scars. Empty pockets, arguments at home, cold nights without food, people laughing at his dreams, friends just disappearing into the city. Failures repeating on an endless loop. This is the internal monologue of the protagonist during the climax. He isn't running from this pain anymore. In this slow-motion second of absolute clarity, every single painful memory is being harvested. He's turning his entire history into raw fuel.
Section 10. The transformation of meaning.
Now, this is where the entire deconstruction of the track pivots. That internal monologue we just witnessed, combined with the swelling, inescapable music around him, forces a fundamental shift in what the core lyric actually means. The word hasn't changed, the beat hasn't changed, but the reality of the hustler is completely transformed. He steps forward into the center of the arena. The crowd notices him. The lights focus squarely on him. Let's look at step 1. When the track began, heat was external pressure. It was the cruelty of the city, the heavy weight of being a nobody, the crush of failures. But then we transition to step 2. Heat becomes internal power. It becomes transformation. Every struggle, every single sleepless night, every moment of pain we just talked about has been compressed and ignited. It has forged something absolutely unstoppable inside of him. The heat isn't attacking him anymore. The heat is radiating from him.
And then the bass stops for exactly 1 second. Absolute silence. Just one final heartbeat echoing through the massive speakers. And then, boom! The music returns stronger than ever. The pacing shifts violently right back to reality. The silence shatters, giant holograms explode all around him, and the arena just completely erupts into madness. Smoke covers the stage, red neon reflections are burning across his face, and the giant digital screens flash that word again and again. Heat, heat, heat. But here's the thing. The city that once ignored him? Yeah, now they're forced to watch him. He took the weight of the world and he weaponized it.
Which brings us to our final thought. Today, we've explored how a hyper-minimalist track can tell a massive cinematic story of survival. We've seen how external pressure can be transformed into internal, unstoppable power. And why this matters to you is pretty simple, honestly. We all navigate our own broken cities, our own endless grinds, and our own repeating failures. That pressure, it's always going to be there, for sure. But the real power comes from how you use it. So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. When the bass drops in your own life, what drives your heat? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you next time.